At 75, Chris Norman finally speaks up about Suzi Quatro. Chris Norman was born Christopher Ward Norman on October 25, 1950 in Redcar, North Yorkshire, England, into a family already immersed in music. His father was a professional singer and entertainer, and from an early age, music was not merely a hobby, but a natural part of daily life. When a family relocated to Bradford, young Chris absorbed the vibrant musical culture of post-war Britain, where rock and roll, skiffle, and early pop were reshaping youth identity. As a teenager, Norman learned guitar and began performing with school friends, developing not only his technical skills, but also the distinctive vocal style that would later define his career. His voice, husky, emotional, and unmistakably human, stood out even in his early years, setting him apart from more polished or theatrical singers of the time. In the mid-1960s, Norman formed a band with friends Alan Silson, Terry Utley, and Ron Kelly, later replaced by Pete Spencer. After years of playing under various names and struggling to gain attention, the group eventually became Smokey, a turning point that would change their lives forever. Their breakthrough came in the mid-1970s when they began working with renowned songwriting and production duo Nicky Chinn and Mike Chapman. With Norman's voice at the forefront, Smokey released a string of international hits that captured the spirit of the era. Songs like Living Next Door to Alice, If You Think You Know How to Love Me, Don't Play Your Rock and Roll to Me, I'll Meet You at Midnight, and Lay Back in the Arms of Someone became global anthems. Chris Norman's vocals were central to Smokey's success. His delivery balanced vulnerability and strength, giving the band's songs emotional depth and relatability. Smokey became especially popular in continental Europe, Australia, and the UK, earning millions of fans and selling tens of millions of records worldwide. During this period, Norman emerged not only as a singer, but also as a charismatic frontman whose sincerity resonated deeply with audiences. By the early 1980s, after years of relentless touring, recording, and industry pressure, the members of Smokey began to feel creatively constrained. Chris Norman, in particular, longed for artistic freedom and the opportunity to explore a more personal musical identity. In 1986, he made the difficult decision to leave the band and pursue a solo career, a move that carried significant risk, but ultimately proved transformative. And Norman's leap into solo work was met with immediate success. His 1986 duet with Suzi Quatro, Stumbling In, became a massive international hit, topping charts and introducing him to a new generation of listeners. The song showcased a softer, more intimate side of his voice, highlighting his ability to convey tenderness and emotional nuance. Following this success, Chris Norman released a series of solo albums that cemented his reputation as amateur, emotionally driven artist. Songs such as Midnight Lady, Some Hearts Are Diamonds, and No Arms Can Ever Hold You became especially popular in Germany, Scandinavia, and Eastern Europe, where Norman achieved near legendary status. Unlike many artists who struggle after leaving a successful band, Norman thrived by staying true to his musical instincts. His solo work blended pop, soft rock, and subtle country influences, often focusing on themes of love, longing, reflection, and resilience. His songwriting grew more introspective, and performances became increasingly heartfelt, reflecting both personal experience and emotional maturity. What truly sets Chris Norman apart is his remarkable longevity. Decades after his initial success, he's continued to tour extensively, release new albums, and perform to sold-out audiences across Europe and beyond. His live performances remain powerful, driven by the same raw vocal emotion that first captivated listeners in the 1970s. Norman has never relied solely on nostalgia. While he honors his past with Smokey, he continues to create new music, demonstrating a rare balance between respecting legacy and embracing artistic growth. His voice, whether by time yet rich with character, carries an authenticity that few artists can maintain over such a long career. Chris Norman's enduring international appeal was unmistakably affirmed in 1994, when received one of the most prestigious accolades of his career, CMT Europe's International Video Star of the Year. At a time when music television played a decisive role in shaping global stardom, the award recognized not only Norman's powerful, instantly recognizable voice, but also his ability to connect visually and emotionally with audiences far beyond the borders of the UK. It marked a moment when his solo career stood firmly on its own, proving that his artistry had both longevity and a timeless cross-cultural resonance. A decade later, in 2004, Norman once again captured public attention by taking part in the comeback show on the German television network ProSieben. The program, designed to reunite and celebrate legendary artists, became a perfect stage for Norman to remind viewers why his music had never truly faded from memory. One of the show's most talked-about moments came when he performed a classic hit, Stumbling Eines, a duet with pop icon Suzi Quatro. The performance blended nostalgia with renewed energy, delighting longtime fans while introducing a new generation to the magic of his voice. The emotional peak of the series arrived in the final episode when Norman was joined on stage by Smokey for the closing song. An unforgettable reunion that felt less like a television performance and more like a heartfelt celebration of a shared musical journey. Norman's status as a beloved international performer was further reinforced in 2019 when he took center stage as a headliner at the prestigious White Nights Music Festival in St. Petersburg. The event itself carried deep symbolic weight as it was organized as a tribute to the extraordinary 50-year career of Valery Pugachev, one of Russia's most revered cultural icons. Being chosen as a headlining act for such a milestone celebration spoke volumes about the respect Norman commands across Europe and beyond. Sharing the spotlight with acclaimed artists such as Level 42, Bonnie Tyler, and Svetlana Loba, he delivered a performance that blended decades of experience with undished passion. Under the luminous white night ski, Norman once again demonstrated that true musical legacy is not measured by trends, but by the ability to move audiences year after year, generation after generation. Chris Norman's personal life has long stood in quiet contrast to the fame and turbulence of his musical career, marked above all by remarkable stability, loyalty, and devotion to family. In 1970, at a time when his career with Smokey was only just beginning to gather momentum, Norman married his wife, Linda. Their marriage was formed before international stardom, before sold-out tours, chart-topping hits, and the relentless pressures of the music industry became a daily reality. This timing proved significant as it meant their relationship was built on shared youth, mutual trust, and a grounded understanding of one another rather than on celebrity or public attention. Over decades, Norman has often spoken directly or indirectly through his life choices about the importance of that early commitment. In an industry notorious for broken marriages, fleeting relationships, and excess, his union with Linda has endured for more than half a century. Linda has remained a steadfast presence behind the scenes, offering emotional support and stability, while Norman navigated the demands of recording, touring, and maintaining relevance across changing musical eras. Their partnership has frequently been described by those who consider them as deeply private, rooted in respect rather than spectacle, and sustained by a shared determination to keep family life protected from the glare of fame. Together, Chris and Linda Norman raised 5 children, a responsibility that Norman has consistently treated as central to his identity, not secondary to his success as a musician. Despite long periods away from home during tours and recording sessions, he made conscious efforts to remain involved in his children's lives, valuing family time as a necessary anchor. Fatherhood influenced his outlook, encouraging balance and perspective at moments when career pressures could easily have taken over. Many observers note that the strong family foundation contributed to his reputation as a grounded and approachable artist, even at the height of his popularity. In 1986, seeking a quieter and more controlled environment for both personal and professional reasons, the Norman family made the decision to settle on the Isle of Man. This move was not merely geographical, but symbolic. The Isle of Man offered privacy, tranquility, and distance from the intense spotlight of mainland celebrity culture, allowing Norman to focus on music without sacrificing family life. Its close-knit community and slower pace suited his desire for normalcy, giving his children the chance to grow up away from constant media attention. Since relocating there, the Isle of Man has remained Norman's permanent home and creative refuge. From this base, he continued to write, record, and tour internationally, proving that artistic success did not require living at the center of the entertainment industry. The island became a place of renewal and reflection, where Norman could step away from the demands of fame and reconnect with the values that had guided him since his youth: commitment, family, and authenticity. At 75, Chris Norman, the unmistakable voice behind Smokey Key and one of the most enduring figures of British rock, has reached a stage in life where reflection comes naturally. Decades of chart-topping hits, relentless touring, artistic triumphs, and personal challenges have given him a long view of the music industry and the people who shaped it. Among those figures, one name stands out with particular clarity and respect: Suzi Quatro. For the first time in many years, Norman has spoken openly and at length about their connection, their shared era, and the deep admiration he has always held for her. Looking back toward early 1970s, Norman recalls a music scene that felt raw, competitive, and alive with possibility. Those were electric times, he says. Everything felt new and nobody really knew how far things could go in that landscape. Suzi Quatro emerged as a force that simply couldn't be ignored. When Suzi came along, she changed the picture. Norman explained she wasn't trying to fit into anything that already existed. She was her own thing completely. Norman emphasizes that Quatro's impact went far beyond her chart success. As a female rock musician playing bass and fronting a hard-edge band, she broke unspoken rules in an industry dominated by men.